Good evening and welcome to this edition of Month in Review. I'm Seaman Jeremy Graham, and tonight we're going to see some of the top stories from the month of November as we'll highlight the sailors and commands working in the Sasebo, Atsugi, and Yokosuka areas. Our top story tonight comes from Sasebo. Every year, security forces at Fleet Activity Sasebo hold a series of anti-terrorism drills to prepare them for unusual situations. Seaman Andrew Frisbee shows us how this exercise not only helps improve the security of the base, but also the relationship between Navy personnel and the Japanese forces.
Sailors at Fleet Activity Sasebo joined with Japan Ground Self-Defense Force and Japan Maritime Self-Defense Force for their annual Guard and Protect exercise.
When we go to a heightened threat condition, when something does happen, there are immediate allies and they can give us direct support to help us sustain the mission and protect our assets here in Sasebo.
The groups teamed up to run drills involving suspicious vehicles and even an armed suspect barricaded inside a building.
It gets you to think outside the box, and so you don't get tunnel vision. You start to think about more what ifs. You get to think more about different types of threats instead of the usual drunken suspect.
While the subjects in these drills were members of the CFAS community, security forces around the base are now ready to respond if faced with the real thing. Seaman Andrew Frisbee, Fleet Activity Sasebo, Japan.
This year, Guard and Protect involved 550 members from CFAS, JGSDF, and JMSDF. Not only does the military have to train for hostile situations, they have to stay fit as well. Petty Officer Shamira Purifoy was with Marines of the Fleet Anti-Terrorism Security Forces Team, Company Pacific, as they went to Yokosuka's Berkey Field to run through their combat fitness test.
Combat fitness test is basically test your maneuvers under fire, put you in a stressful environment, and push your body to the limit. You start off in the prone position. You get up, you sprint, J-hook, hit the deck, low crawl, then move into a high crawl. Then you move into a zigzag around cones, pick up your buddy, you buddy drag him, then you fireman's carry all the way back, pick up 2 ammo cans, sprint, zigzag, throw a grenade, 3 push-ups, pick up the ammo can, zigzag, sprint back. This is basically simulating running ammo to a machine gun post. So you got all the stressful low crawls, you're running, you're sprinting, you're carrying your buddy. If he was wounded, you're dragging him. So it just pushes you in any scenario that could happen. When you're going through it, it's painful. You're just your mind's set on that pain, but people cheering you on, they're pushing you, it's you know that they're there for you.
Petty Officer Shamira Purifoy, Yokosuka Naval Base, Japan.
This test and others like it helps to keep fast-pack Marines mission ready. Though all training is important, earthquakes can strike at any time, so the ability of a hospital to care for a sudden rush of disaster victims is crucial to minimizing loss of life. Petty Officer Kirk Putnam says Yokosuka's Naval Hospital puts those capabilities to the test with their annual mass casualty earthquake drill.
Earthquakes pose a substantial risk for personnel and their families here in Japan. That's why every year Yokosuka Naval Hospital holds a mass casualty earthquake drill that challenges the staff to care for a major surge of patients. The drill adds a touch of realism using makeup and prosthetic effects to simulate real injuries that help put the responders in the mindset of a real emergency.
We have the cards that are printed up that say this is the type of injury that this patient has, but when they actually see the red blood on their head, if we see that the injury actually exists on the person, then we might have some stress induced that'll make it more realistic.
The drill also fulfills a requirement of accreditation by the Joint Commission, a seal of approval that demonstrates the continuing quality of patient care and safety. Petty Officer Kirk Putnam, Yokosuka Naval Base, Japan.
Yokosuka Naval Hospital continues to evolve their emergency relief training in order to continue growing their capabilities to preserve the lives and safety of their patients. Being a commanding officer carries a lot of responsibility. Seaman Nicholas Vickery was aboard USS Bonhomme Richard as a new captain assumed those responsibilities at the Amphibious Squadron 11 change of command ceremony.
Amphibious Squadron 11 held the change of command ceremony aboard USS Bonhomme Richard. Captain Heidi Agel assumed command from Captain Cathal O'Connor.
Captain Agel is supremely qualified, and there's no better way than to turn over command at 10 o'clock in the morning and then have her sail at 1300 to go do a real-world mission to save lives and alleviate suffering in the Philippines.
most pressing goal is to provide assistance in the Philippines. My counterpart, Colonel John Myrna, 31st MU Commanding Officer, and I will meet in Okinawa. We will serve as best we can.
But the mission to the Philippines is only the beginning for her as Fibron 11's new commanding officer, Seaman Nicholas Vickery, Fleet Activities, Sasebo, Japan.
The Amphibious Squadron 11 is deployed to the Philippines to assist in recovery efforts. Veterans Day recognizes the people who serve in the military and those who have made the ultimate sacrifice. Petty Officer Andrew Dean went to Jack N. Darby Elementary School to observe how the children show their appreciation to veterans around the world.
Students packed the hall in Darby Elementary School, all gathered together to show their appreciation on Veterans Day. The school choir sang songs about veterans and what their sacrifices mean.
I think it's very important that the kids understand what Veterans Day means and not to take freedom for granted. Freedom is not free.
They saved our country, so I'm very grateful for that, and they saved our lives. They go out there sacrificing their lives for us. And it's nice to sing for them because they are doing something that I probably wouldn't have the courage to do.
As a DoD-dependent school, all of these children and their parents have ties to the military, so every one of them has a veteran of their own. Petty Officer Andrew Dean, Fleet Activities, Sasebo, Japan.
Veterans Day celebrates the service of all U.S. military veterans, while Memorial Day is a day of remembering those who have given their lives in the service. What are your shipmates doing around the world? Let's take a look at some snapshots from around the fleet.
Here's a few photos from around the fleet. Sailors from USS Freedom deliver disaster relief to the Philippines. USS Mustin sailors work with Philippine Armed Forces in support of Operation Damayan. A sailor runs on the forecastle aboard guided missile cruiser USS Monterey in the Mediterranean. This has been photos from around the fleet.
For forward deployed sailors, the mission can often be difficult and may even require more than just the military community to complete. Seaman Andrew Frisbee shows us what can happen when sailors, civilians, and local nationals at Fleet Activities Sasebo work together to accomplish a common goal.
Fleet Activities Sasebo has been named Commander Navy Region Japan's nominee for the Installation Excellence Award.
This is part of a bigger process in which the Commander-in-Chief picks the best U.S. military installation worldwide, based on some criteria, essentially our ability to support operations and maintenance in an effective and efficient manner to support our fleet and our sailors.
From protecting the military community and ensuring the smooth operation of ships, to improving morale by organizing activities for sailors and families, the award is the result of a lot of teamwork.
I think it's important because it's a reflection of how well we work together, not as just the installation, but as a military community and as a family.
Seaman Andrew Frisbee, Fleet Activities Sasebo, Japan.
The Commander-in-Chief Award winner will be presented in 2014. That does it for this edition of Month in Review. Be sure to tune in at the same time next week for another edition of AFN's travel program, Kyushu Explorer. From all of us at AFN, thanks for watching and have a happy Thanksgiving.